if I'm a parent or a community member, whether I'm in business or whether I'm maybe I don't have kids or my kids are out of school, what's the selling point for me? Why, as a parent, do I want to see teachers shift towards this more authentic learning, which is probably very different from what I experienced as a student? So I'll open that up to anybody.
I can take a stab at it, Drew. And I'll just throw this out and ask for Ted and Dana to comment. But I think right now for parents and adults in the community, there are really only three choices for getting involved with your school, right? One is every time the community comes around and asks for an increase in your mill levy, right? And you say, yeah, well, I support the school. I don't think I should pay those taxes. The other is becoming some sort of class parent or serving on the PTA, where you're kind of a teacher's aide or backup support, but there's no real clear role. And then the third, and we saw a ton of this over the last decade and a half or so, is adults in the community who want some sort of role in the schools but don't really understand how to do it, and they become helicopter parents as a result. And they're constantly hovering over the school, wondering what's happening. And I think as soon as you start doing authentic work out in the community, you start showing places where parents and adults in the community can actually contribute to educating the community's kids, separate from one of those three options, but based on their own strengths and opportunities to provide support.
Can I add to that? We had that discussion today, actually, in our school. We're talking about parent volunteers and trying to get past the old parent volunteer stigma of, well, I need a parent to help me make copies, right?
Right.
And we really want to, there's a lot of parents who want to help, a lot of parents who want to be involved, but they don't want to be making copies. They don't want to just be sitting next to a student. We want to use their expertise. We want to use their professionalism, and we want to be able to draw upon them in order for us to complete our projects, in order for us to do our learning. Instead of only communicating with people of our own age group, to be able to communicate with experts and use our parents as a major force behind that would be something that we want to get to.
And what I'm seeing from my own district has been very sad. The district where I live, we just started school this week, and there are 5 of the children just in my neighborhood alone that have left the school district to go to a cyber school charter. There is, one of my instructors at the gym, she pulled both of her daughters out to send them to a private school. Another instructor at the gym pulled her twins out. In fact, it was in the middle of spin class on Tuesday that a friend of mine spinning next to me was getting texts saying, oh, this mother's pulled her kids out, this mother's pulled her kids out. So I think at this point there has been, at least at some level, of frustration with parents and the way that traditional public schools are headed, and they're looking for alternatives. And what we need to be doing is bringing those alternatives into the public school classrooms and doing it in that authentic learning sense, so that we're drawing the community connections in, involving the parents, and giving them an understanding of what can be done in order to promote critical thinking with their own children, and, as Ted said before, really produce what we would consider to be the ideal graduate.
Yeah, I agree with all of those things, and I love the idea. As a parent, when my first grader now comes home and I look at her homework and I wonder, this year's been she's been pretty active and it's early in the school year, but then how much of that she gets frustrated with or sort of doesn't want to do it, and that battle over homework sometimes. And I wonder if that might be a different conversation if it were really meaningful and purposeful and there was a connection, and that's certainly possible with first graders. And I also really think that it's a great opportunity to get to those 21st century skills like critical thinking, Dana, as you mentioned, and those ones that we typically think of, but also get at things like community and compassion that, as you watch the news, it's obviously very sorely missed at this point.